Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. It's a great day today. He is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
And we all know that the Queen recently passed away, and she was the sovereign of the UK. But we have something exciting to talk about today, and that is in Sovereign class. From
The new Sovereign.
Sorry, I had to fit a sovereign thing in there somehow.
A Hollow Sovereign, Stuart. Hollow Sovereign. It's a holodeck. It's a fictitious sovereign. It's what ship does Captain Boimler want? We're going to skip all those things. And last time we'd seen him be proud and in charge, he chose Galaxy class for a bridge. But this time he's going full on sovereign. And we get a lot of views of this return to form. We haven't seen a sovereign properly. We've got a little tiny bit of it in Picard Season 2. A little bit. But apart from that, not since Nemesis. We're going to go in depth, guys, here. So stay tuned as they really through us some cool stuff, and Lower Decks does tend to. So Stuart, here's the first picture. As it zoomed in, we started with the start. What was your initial thoughts? How do you feel?
My initial thoughts were, yay, it's about time. We finally see a sovereign doing more sovereign-y things. This is the Wayfarer, the USS Wayfarer. It's worth pointing that out. And yeah, I think it looks glorious. It looked really great in movement, like just doing its thing. We need more of the sovereign class doing that. I mean, I love the Enterprise E, don't get me wrong. I love the Sovereign class, but it's not my favorite Enterprise. Just some angles look kind of janky on it. But I think they did a really good job at replicating it and having it look really good. So good job, Lower Decks team. Yeah.
Yeah, I instantly knew they obviously use real orthos because the proportions are so good. And once you hit proportions, even the texturing variations can be like, oh, it's a different version. You know, the E changed drastically from First Contact to Nemesis. The paint scheme was radically different, so it's pretty flexible. Although, from this first picture, three things stand out. One, the facades are blown out a bit. It's a bit. I mean, it's fake, but it's a bit too neon for me personally. They've got incorrect 4 red blinkies on the nacelles. Because they've got red and green on the saucer, but both nacelles should be white, and they're wrong. They've got red. So that's just a mistake. Again, they can't get blinkies right most of the time. Don't know why. They don't look good. So, oops. And also, very oddly reflective. It's almost some surfaces are kind of chrome in certain views. Like, it's not... And there are better shots. This is not a great looking shot of a Sovereign in general, I don't think.
I think they're going for like a more cinematic vibe.
Yeah. Chrome.
Yeah, as you know, kind of a trope.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah.
The second shot, though, is similar. It maintains their weirdly bright registry. They're self-lit, which is weird because then it gets entirely lost inside the black. They kind of misdesigned that a bit. It looks silly, and I've also brightened it as well. But proportionally, looks great. Just a few odd choices here and there.
And kudos to them for giving it the yellow deflector. I mean, I'm not a fan of the yellow deflector. I prefer blue, honestly, with some yellow like outlines maybe. But they went with the full-on, as it should look, deflector.
It would have felt weird otherwise, Stuart.
For better or worse. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's one of the issues I have with this ship.
Yeah. But I mean, fortunately, it looks fantastic. I love the amount of windows. There's now lights on the the captain's yacht, which I like. There's something going on there.
Yeah, phaser strips. I didn't even realize that the Sovereign had the eyebrows like the TOS Connie does, which could be landing legs. So
the way the geometry is, they'd be real weird because I've seen 2 versions of the E and yeah, definitely. Well, you already see that view in the movies, so and it's only the movies, so just 'cause I've seen it a billion times and was in temporarily it appeared. But the next view, though, now this is like classic prime rib Sovereign action, isn't it?
Yep. We've seen this a few times in the movies, I think. And yeah, it's definitely just that classic, this thing is mean and it's coming after you look. So, and protecting the Cerritos. I love the Cerritos behind it. Like, it looks good.
Yeah, you definitely see the disparity of sleek versus it's a California. We don't talk about Californias. Like, it's a really nice comparative design style because they are worlds apart, but not. No, this one they very much, you can kind of tell they zoomed in. The whole thing feels very stout. That's a focal length choice. The ship looks very good in that when it's all kind of compressed down. Although I don't know if you noticed, but in this tirade of weapons, they fire great orange phasers and they fire a photon torpedo from the quantum torpedo launcher, So they made a mistake in not lighting that torpedo blue, because it was from the quantum launcher. I checked.
I think quantum launchers are able to fire photons, though. Just photon launchers can't fire quantums.
Possibly, but why would you keep photons in your quantum launcher?
Because you don't need the quantums for everything. Quantums are just for like the big boys.
It's the time crystals, Stuart. We love our time crystals. I mean, this is a world universing, world ending thing. I think they just forgot to. I think they just didn't get the memo that it needs to be blue. Because there are torpedo launchers other places. Like, the bottom torpedo launchers are underneath the deflector. You can see them. Like, they launch from the wrong place.
It doesn't bother me, that one. It's easily explainable. So
it's just a bit weird because it's unnecessary, like, weirdness. But apart from that, I mean, the colors are great. The reflections are great.
Now, how are the windows? Like, are the windows in the secondary hull accurate for you?
I mean, they look great. I'm not sensing anything, which is great. But, Stuart, speaking of, as if you called, this is a direct comparison. I was only at very, 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 very close angles to these shots, I will just say now. So this is the Nemesis model. So this is the Last Canon Hero Mesh, which is a beautiful model. And they may have used this model. I don't know. This model is available CBS in archives. It would certainly save them time if they would. Maybe we'll find that out throughout this, because windows are annoying. I'm looking, and the windows seem to be pretty, like, numbering, etc.
Yeah, and the geometry around the deflector is different.
Is it?
It seems different. It seems like it's kind of more squashed in on...
Well, they probably didn't build a 3D deflector. That might be...
I'm just saying, like, it just seems, like, squashed.
It does seem smaller.
On the real one. The animated one seems like they've drawn it out a bit. And
well, focal length, man. I mean, focal lengths are tricky to...
Yeah, focal length. I hate focal length.
Well, there's missing pennants and registry on the side, which we commented they were on the Defiant, entirely missing on the side of the secondary hull here.
Yeah, the little different details on the escape pods. There seem to be less escape pods on the animated one.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. And those are physical geometry, so those things would be there if it was the same model. Yeah, way less. Well, I never know if the small ones are escape pods because they're significantly smaller.
I just consider them like 2 or 3 people escape pods as opposed to 8 or 10 to 12 or whatever they are.
But it's really close. I mean, you can feel it here. Really, really close. I tried, but I couldn't match. It's close, but I couldn't match it perfectly. Oh, but the next shot though, this is another like whoa, mama, sort of. Look at those details. Goodness.
And there you can really see the red blinkies on the nacelles that you were pointing out earlier. How they kind of stand out. Registry is different lighting.
It's broken, Stuart.
This feels more like an STO ship just because of the purple highlights on it, purple accents.
Wait, which one? The top one or the bottom one?
The top one. Because they got that purple part at the front, and then the center of the saucer is kind of purple.
I mean, it's obviously being lit by the nebula, but yeah, it does certainly create a weird vibe.
Seems like a custom.
But no, back to the registry for a second. I mean, the registry light, you can see, is a hard line. So there's a render error there because it should be a light emitter. So that's just a render error that they haven't fixed. Oops. That's the one light on the ship. The one self-illumination they have in this. Now, there are could, should, would. This is a standard basic Nemesis version. There should, could, would be self-illumination on the nacelles, and there are other places. But that's the first one. That's just a render error.
The nacelle strut attachment point to the bottom of the nacelle seems different, but I think it's just the angle. Because if you look at the closest nacelle to us, it's not quite matched as far as the two renders go. But
and there are 3 versions of the E in terms of, and the pylons are a significant difference between them. But in terms of the main angle, brilliant. The color palette, I don't know if it's trying to be the Nemesis E or not. It's a very dark version, but that just could be the lighting of space. But it is missing the inner rim next to the phaser strip dark, and that's like every part of the black is very specific on the Nemesis E. You can't, if you remove it, it's kind of not that version anymore. But it's not bright enough to be the first contact version because that's really creamy and nice, and I don't know. It's a new variant, I guess. But I love that escape pod's difference because they certainly pop more as dark on light, but they now feel less beefy because in the E they're like strips of it's an arrangement of escape pod units versus here are unique pods. I mean, this is so close. I mean, so close. The next view though is a shot we already saw, but now with the full comparative. This was really hard to match, so I couldn't.
Yeah, I can see.
Now that feels this. Oh, I don't know.
Feels so much different there, eh?
Because it's really tricky with like not getting, because you can see I can't get the facade properly in, so you got to match that close, but then every other angle, and yeah, it is tricky.
Yeah, and there are not double stacked windows there. It looked like it from that other shot for sure.
Missing a front blinky, a white blinky. I think I like that there's now lights in the torpedo launchers, the photon launchers, because now you see them. Because they're super subtle on the other one, but why would there be lights inside of torpedo launchers? There wouldn't. I guess that's the answer. Of this kind, anyway. Next shot, though, finally reverse. Whole different perspective. And once again, you can see on the top, it's subtle, but the pennants are brightly self-illuminated, which is just a broken... They shouldn't be. They aren't painted in glowing paint. I hate that on the Titan. It looks so obnoxious. Especially when they're darkly lit, they just pop. It just looks silly.
Yeah. Very similar, though, here, and one of the more gratuitous shots of the Enterprise E we've seen. Another angle it looks fantastic from. So,
I mean, I'm looking at the window placement secondary hull, and it is really freaking close. I mean, why wouldn't you get it right? Right? Like, if your aim is to rebuild it, do it right. But if it's just a textured mesh of windows, that's infinitely easier to line up. The windows, it's lines, right? It's easier. Modeling them's a lot more difficult if you cut them to the hull, etc. But really freaking close, yeah.
No, it looks really good. I love the lighting on it too on the Vortex. That purple.
The purple's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's too dark, but then the windows pop, so very good though. Next shot is another front view, kind of a classic first contact style.
Well, the secondary hull from the actual model just seems a lot beefier. We've seen a few shots of it now from the bottom, and it just looks like some things are slightly off. But yeah, it's safe to say it is worth pointing out that there are different versions of the Sovereign.
They're not that different, though. That subtlety is key on them.
I know, but... Yeah.
It's weird that they only have certain registries and missing others, because I'm missing the pennants, I'm missing... It's funny what you do and don't miss, you know? It's like in the low decks version, there's on every single line on the bottom of the saucer, there's a light at the edge of one of the lines for some reason. I don't know why those are there. But they're missing a ring of light, a ring of windows on the leading edge of the bottom of the saucer, that pointed bit. So they're missing... Hey, we finally found some missing windows. But there's now light on every... God, it's weird. It's weird, Stuart, it's weird. It's the tiniest of differences, but boy, we notice them. I mean, you aren't really meant to put them side by side and match angles, really, because most people can't do this. So it is kind of a high standard. But that's what Trekyards is here for, to look and compare. What would you give this a score out of 100% though, then? What do you think for accuracy is? Maybe go back to the top view, because that's quite a cool one. What do you think accuracy-wise? What are you going to give it? Because Delta Flyer was in the high 90s. What are you going to give this?
Say 96. Now, it should also be worth mentioning to many of the viewers out there that probably noticed it, that the bridge is clearly not a Sovereign bridge. If you look behind Boimler, you actually see the Titan on the MSD. Like, you can see a front view of the Titan, which was a little annoying, but you know, most people wouldn't notice that the bridge is different.
It is right behind his head, though.
I know that graphic. Just change that graphic. You can leave don't put a Sovereign bridge on there, but at least change that one graphic, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, they did build a Titan bridge, which in itself was a Sovereign redesign, redress variant in Seasons 1 and then in Season 2, and it was great. And it's similar, but not the same by any means. They're very different. And this is clearly the Titan slightly redressed, but like I say, with old graphics. So, hey, you know, we see things that slip through. They just didn't catch it, and Boimler's a crap holo programmer. See, you can...
Yeah, see, there's lots of ways to explain it. Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of justify it as that he feels at home with Titan Bridge and has no love for the Sovereign Bridge specifically. Like, he's like, well, I'd rather build my Titan Bridge. And so there's a disconnect. It's like in Bridge Commander, the mods, where you can have an E-Bridge and a Voyager exterior. There's no logic there, but it's just fun. But it's clearly just a mistake they included. But oops, but we noticed it. So there's no real point to the Bridge per se, 'cause it's just the Titan Bridge. It looks fine, looks okay. But it's so little in the episode. They didn't need to build a whole bridge for it. Obviously, it wasn't necessary. So yeah, was what it was.
So, guys, comment down below what you thought about seeing the Sovereign back in action. And
Beautiful.
if you want to see more of the Wayfarer or other Sovereigns in Lower Decks, let us know in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon so you join us for lives and all these great discussions and video breakdowns. And help us out any way you can. Appreciate it.
And if you want to support what we do here, these renders, these really the only way you can find them. I mean, yes, you can get a screen cap from the show. It'll be in lower definition. It'll be with motion blur. It won't be lit the same. This is the only place you can find this stuff. So if you want to support what we do here, as lots of you do, monthly, pay Patreon and join the channel. How to think about that. Or PayPal one time at trekyards@hotmail.com, or super chatting or super thanksing. Super thanksing is on any video, including this one. Right now, you could give anything. Or super chatting during any live, during any topic. We love the interaction, so if you can, join on those and say hello and ask a question. Throw us a curveball or have a great have you ever thought of this? And we love it. Thanks in advance.
That's right. So until next time, everybody, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.